This morning I was looking up the etymology, which means the study of the root meaning of words. So I was looking up the meaning of the word insanity, and it comes from some Latin and the root meaning of it and all that. And basically the meaning of insanity, insanity or even sanity has the word sanitized, sanitary in there, right? So an insane mind is an unsanitary mind, basically, right? An unsanitary mind. It's an unsanitary way of thinking. And so there's this phrase that I've heard for years and years and years that they whoever they are, it's been passed down and regurgitated into everybody, where when people receive this regurgitation and eat it up for themselves, they regurgitate it to others and pass it along as if it's the truth. And when it says that Einstein coined the phrase that the definition of insanity is to repeat the same things over and over again, but expecting different results. Well, if you go online, there's nothing to really back that up. There's no evidence that Einstein is actually the one that coined that phrase. I looked it up. I'm like, wow, and I went to a bunch of different sources, and I'm like, okay, so there's no evidence that Einstein coined it. Whether he did or not, there's no evidence of it. So anyhow, I was thinking about this insanity thing because I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday who was talking about the insanity about the side of politics that he can't stand. And he's very critical and judgmental about people that aren't on the same side of politics that he is, and he says they are uninformed. Now, this same guy that points out the flaws of others and rips on them for being uninformed, and he's a guy that watches and listens to his favorite news stuff almost all day, every day. I mean, that's what he feeds on, the news. And when other people around him are like, can we watch something else? You know, he'll always say, and he says it just like this: that's because you like to remain uninformed. Well, this same guy recently went on, he wanted to go on my diet. I'm not on a diet. I don't call it a diet, although it is a diet, but it's my way of eating. Diet is just the way that you eat, but it's not a certain thing I'm doing to stay in shape or anything like that. I'm eating a certain way for longevity, and being in shape is just one of the results of eating for longevity, eating for my health, and what I believe to be the best way to eat for myself. I've done a lot of research into this, and I've been practicing it for 3 years now, and I've never felt better. I used to eat a bodybuilder's diet, and my bodybuilding diet, which was basically lean meats and lots of protein drinks, lean sources of protein, lots of egg whites, things like that, and staying away from fatty meat, and staying away from red meat, and staying away from starchy carbohydrates and sugars and all that kind of stuff as much as you can, but having complex carbohydrates and eating lots of vegetables and fruits, getting plenty of fiber. Well, that diet that I used to do, which is a basic bodybuilding diet, lots of protein, lots of meals, small frequent meals throughout the day, I found out that diet was the worst thing I ever did for myself, and I destroyed my hormones temporarily. Now my hormones are elevated again, and I'm balancing out again. And I've been doing for 3 years the carnivore diet. The first year I did carnivore, I wasn't doing it quite correctly, but then I fine-tuned it, and now today I'm doing a great job of it, and I'm feeling it amazing. And my health has improved, my fitness has improved, my mind has improved, so many things have improved. So that's the way I eat. A friend of mine, this guy that wanted to, he wanted to do the same thing because he just wanted to lose some weight. And he wanted to lose weight for a wedding that he was going to be attending. And so he's like my height, and he weighed about 200, close to 270 pounds, maybe 2 pounds lighter than that, 268, I think, 269. And so he was close to 270, and he wanted to drop down. His goal was 195. And I said, oh, I can get you to 195, no problem. He had 3 months to do it. And about 3 weeks before the wedding, he was at 201. And I'm like, dude, you're going to be lighter than 195. And it wasn't even him going to the gym and starting to work out. He was just doing this diet, whatever exercises he was doing. I think he does yoga, hot yoga or something, stretching and stuff like that. He doesn't pump iron like me, but but just doing his regular exercising, walking, and his yoga stuff, he got down to 201. But then 3 weeks from the wedding, he started going back to his old ways of eating. And, and I was talking to him yesterday, and he's like, yeah, I think I need to get back on the carnivore because I'm up to 220 something pounds again, and it keeps on going up. And he says, I felt so much better. It's kind of like what was written in the scriptures. A dog will return to its own vomit. A dog, meaning when you are purged of something in your life, but you go back to what you purged. Isn't that kind of like the definition of insanity in a way? But listen, that Einstein thing, his definition of insanity, I don't agree with it anyway, because that is a fruit of perhaps what insanity is. The fruit is the action, the repeating of the same things over and over again, expecting different results. But here's my definition of insanity. So I want to make a correction to what we think is the definition of insanity, right? Not having a sanitary mind, right? An unsound mind, you might call it. Well, what I think it is if we get to the etymology, the root of insanity, I would say it is when you are, so he calls people uninformed and rips on them for being uninformed. Well, he is informed about the carnivore diet. When I sent him lots of links to lots of videos to listen to, all these different doctors I listen to, Anthony Chafee, Dr. Robert Kiltz, Dr. Anthony Chafee, Dr. Robert Kiltz, Dr. Ken Berry, Dr. Sean Baker. There's a few others, but those are the main ones that I've listened to. Anthony Chafee is my go-to guy. You can look him up, the plant-free MD, medical doctor, I think is what MD stands for. So I think that's it. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But anyway, this friend of mine, he educated himself on this, but returned to his old way of eating. Lots of sugar, alcohol, carbohydrates, processed foods, all that stuff. He's back on that thing, and he feels terrible physically, and he's put on all this weight, and he's gaining rapidly. It was almost 230 pounds, 220 something, almost 230, and the wedding was 2.5 months ago. So to put on that weight that fast, it's like, whoa, that's too bad. So anyway, to me, what insanity is he accuses people of all the time of being uninformed. Well, what's worse is to be informed, but not to apply what you are informed of. So he's informed of this way of eating that he said he never felt better. He got off of these medications he was on from the doctor, and because his health improved. And he was on cholesterol medication and all his other stuff, and then he starts getting off of medication and doesn't need to go to the doctor frequently anymore. But now he's getting back on these meds because he's feeling terrible. And for me, that's what I call the definition of insanity. Let's start with the root problem. The root problem is you are informed, but you're not applying what you are informed of. You're not applying it to your life. That, to me, is the definition of insanity. Instead of doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Well, there are people that do the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, but they're not informed because they haven't even looked up the information. How can I change things a little bit? Like when I was on the bodybuilder diet, I'm like, how come when I had my insurance changed and I had my blood work done and it showed that my hormones were super low. I had the testosterone of a 75-year-old with low testosterone. And I had my thyroid was barely active. My growth hormone, my DHEA, all these hormones were ultra low. And here I am working out all the time, looking fit, eating what I thought was right, and it messed my system up. So now that I've changed things, I'm doing so much better. And so the definition of insanity for me, it is to be informed, but not to apply what you're informed about. For instance, I used to be a Jehovah's Witness. And I did the same things I did over and over again as a Jehovah's Witness, hoping that I would get different results, because I'm like, how come I'm always feeling condemned no matter what? And then when I started actually questioning my leadership, privately questioning them, internally questioning them, and then looking things up in the scriptures that they were teaching, and finding out when I studied the Hebrew or the Greek that their Bible translation actually was full of errors, and these errors weren't by mistake. These were purposefully made. So I started getting informed. Now, if I would have stayed with those religious leaders, hoping that someday they'll change things because God's going to just infuse his light into them. As they say, the light gets brighter and brighter. They are the light, but over time, the light gets brighter and brighter. They're enlightened more and more. The light inside of them just keeps on coming out brighter and brighter. Well, the thing is, when I'm informed that these guys are purposefully misleading me, now the information's there. How do I apply this information in my life? I have a choice. Try to correct these men? Oh, well, I went to my leaders, not the top dogs, but I went to the leaders in my congregation with the information. And if you could just imagine what happened there, I was dare questioning the Watchtower Society, the true leaders of the Jehovah's Witnesses, their governing body, they call them. Oh man, so that created a big problem. These guys didn't want to hear anything I had to say, because now I'm what they call apostate. Even questioning the religious leaders made me what they call an apostate. So I'm now an opposer of God because I'm opposing these leaders. I was just questioning why they were teaching things. So now what do I do with all this information? Well, I need to apply it to myself. And the first step is I need to get out of this religion. And that's what I did. Now, if I would have stuck around in the religion, hoping that these religious leaders will change things and see things my way, well, there's your insanity right there. There's your insanity right there. I'm informed, but I'm not applying it. I'm hoping somebody else will fix the problem for me. No, why don't I be the solution to the problem? Why don't I get out of here and discover the truth for myself? And that's when my journey began, you guys. So I would have to disagree with that whole thing about Einstein coining the phrase. I would have to disagree with that. I don't know if he coined the phrase, but there's not enough information that he did. But I'm going to have to disagree with whoever coined it anyway. I don't think the definition of insanity is to repeat the same things over and over again, expecting different results. That could be the fruit of insanity, but the root of it is that you've got the info, you've been informed, but now you're not applying it to your life. You understand? And you can fit that into so many different aspects of your life today, and start getting a sane mind, a sanitized mind, right? Get rid of all that junk in your head. And the more you get rid of all that stuff, the more you'll tune in to who you truly are in the spirit anyway, right? Paul says you have the mind of Christ. Are we using the mind of Christ that we have, or are we still sticking to this old way of thinking? Something to think about. Love you guys. I hope this has blessed you. I hope you have a great one. I'll talk to you next time.